disgusting, perverted dude. He's talking about how great it is that they're a safe place for the mentally insane. Let's be proud of that. Let's be proud about the number one state that coddles, affirms, shows support behind the mental patients in our world, in our society. Then you got Mayor Fry. Is there a bigger beta male? Maybe the governor or the mayor of Denver, Colorado, give him a good run for his money. But Mayor Fry of Minneapolis, he's been pushing the let's not pray. Pray's not enough. Praying's not enough. Well, they don't believe in God. They believe that everything happens here on earth is because of humans and they control everything. Can we have, or maybe the question is, when can we have this very, very frank and honest discussion that the transgender community are freaks? The transgender community are mentally insane. The transgender community needs to be pushed into mental institutions and cared for, not celebrated, not clapped at as we're like stupid seals as we're watching our demise. You look at the last, I think it was like 7 or 8 school shootings, all trans, all mental patients on some high level narcotics. I just saw Alex Jones just posted, the guy's father, the shooter's father, worked for the CIA. Oh, we're going to connect those dots? Or are we going to just act like it doesn't happen? Well, JJ, there's no way that they're connected to school shooters. Oh, but CIA was connected to MK Ultra and sex magic. Tens of thousands of women and children and men were given drugs, narcotics, sexually abused, turned into sex slaves. Yeah, that's CIA. Okay, yeah. Nah, this CIA, the CIA today, because it's under Trump, it's all good. There's nothing going on with them. I trust them completely. Absolutely. The chief of police in Minneapolis actually went on the news and says he doesn't know the motive. Just has no idea. Hey, jerk off. You know those big magazines that hold all of those rounds into his AR and his magazines going into his, look like a Glock. He wrote on there. Did you see that? Did you just skip over the entire police academy and then God removed all your common sense? You're that stupid that you don't know the motive? Or are you such a coward that you won't say it out loud? You won't say it out loud that transgender freaks are freaks of nature. Their bodies have been destroyed. Their minds are scrambled eggs, and they just lash out. And this is part of the unintended consequences of destroying young people's bodies. This is just one of them. I mean, let's follow the left's logic. This is just, if he kills a couple kids and he kills a couple people, well, as long as that we reaffirm that he is a sick, demented freak, it's all good. Look at what we've done to these people. Look what we've done to millions of children. My wife was distraught last night, watching this news, and our son goes to a Catholic school. And you've heard me on this show talk to Chris from Sat 123, and we talk about this, and we say it all the time. I send my son to a parochial Catholic school. It looks great. Police officers roaming around. It's great. You never know. It's not the kids. It's some freak that either has some connection to the school or is just a freak and thinks I'm just going to go kill kids. And we're all going to stand here and act as if that our society isn't crumbling. I posted something on X. I put a picture of the Catholic, of the inside of the Catholic Church. And I'll show you the Catholic Church later on in the episode. And I just said, I lay this all at the feet of the Democrats. All of the feet of the Democrats, because they encourage and they propagate this hatred, this vile, this disgusting violence. You know who else I lay it at the feet at? I put it in my post. I lay it at the feet of the American men. The American men allowed this to happen. We stayed silent while we were told that men can have babies. They put tampons in our young boys' bathrooms to confuse them. We allow our teachers to reaffirm the adolescence and the insanity that kids go through. Just like if we're gonna, I always like to do this. If we're gonna follow the left's logic, then let's follow it. Okay, you're telling me I got to affirm all these kids. I have to do everything I can for these kids. Okay, so your kid wants to be a pirate. He comes to you and says, "I've got to take my eye out if I want to be a true pirate, and I got to cut my leg off." The next week, he's on your roof with a Superman cape on. He goes, "I'm a Superman." And you're like, "Yes, fly away, son. Jump off that second story." They're insane. Not just the sexually perverse, insane transgender, but the people, quote, our representatives are mentally ill. Let's just be honest. We have the most severe mental issues in America that we've ever had. Savage Nation, Michael Savage, says that he coined the phrase, and he is so spot on. Liberalism is a mental disorder. That is the truth. Liberals are mentally insane. And I have this conversation back and forth multiple times with friends this last 24 hours. Guys text me back and forth, and I tell them, we're in a war, guys. You think people that went all the way to the 9th degree and forced us to take shots on some phantom bat-eating disease? The same people that have opened our borders to 30 million, now 50 million people, the same people that have made gay marriage normal, multiple partners normal, changing your sex normal, obliterating all the childhood of young kids and beginning to do hormone blockers. And we stayed silent. We stayed silent while the mental patients, these people, have led our nation into the depths and the pits of a moral cesspool. We are in a war. And if you think those people that I just quickly enumerated several of the things they've done, you think they're going to stop? You think they're going to just go, well, dang it, Trump won and all those lunatic right-wing religious nut jobs are in charge. We'll just have to do what they say. You really think that's going to happen? You really think they're going to just turn over everything, all the gain? Like you're in a war, and now I got a solid front that I've been battling for, and I have like 90% of the land. All I got to do is go 10 more percent. The enemy's refortified, and they're fighting back. But yeah, let's go ahead and give it all to them. I know that we suffered, died, did everything right up to this point. Let's just give it back to them. So you think the crazy ass left is going to just give us the battlefield? Or do you think they're going to dig in and they're going to fight and they're going to try to kill us? And that is not figuratively. That is literally going to kill us. I told my wife and my son last night, we're having dinner, and I looked at him and I said, I need you to listen to what I'm going to say to you. And I said, this is going to sound harsh and it's going to sound maybe off. I'm just telling you. And I looked at him, I said, when's the last time that I told you something of importance to me that did not happen? And that got their attention like that. Because I don't do this. I don't make these pronouncements in my family unless I feel it. I said, both of you and me have got to get prepared emotionally, spiritually, and physically for a war. We have to be prepared. Things are going to explode in this nation. Things are going to happen, and it's going to be chaotic, and we're going to have to keep our heads about us. We can't run around with chickens that are head cut off. We've got to be able to handle the very onslaught and then wait for the next onslaught and the next onslaught, and things will begin. Everyone's going to get weeded out, and we're going to wade through this. We're going to be aggressive. We're going to attack, but we're going to protect each other, but we have to be prepared. I think that's a discussion that you need to have with your families. I'm having it with mine. I'm having it last night with my son. Tell me, Joseph, shooter comes into the church. What are you going to do? Dad, I'm going to get underneath the pew as best I can and cover people up. Good. What are you going to do when you're upstairs in the eighth grade classrooms? I'm going to get out. There's a window that I can get out on the roof. And I'm going to lay down on the roof so no one can see me. Okay. What happens if you get in the middle of crossfire, but you can get out? I'm going to run as fast as I can to a certain place that you already told me, Dad. Okay. If having these conversations don't piss you off, I don't know anything about you. That I have to have these conversations with my son pisses me off. Because my son's world is so different than mine, because the sickest, the most vile, the most morally bankrupt, the most corrupt people in our society have somehow gotten to the positions that hold all the authority and power. And they've ruined our country, ruined it. White population, 1970s, 1980s, 87, 89%. We're now in the 50s. We're going to be a minority in our own country in less than 20 years. Unbelievable. It's unbelievable. Let me show you a picture of the shooter. His name's Robert Westman, but he goes by Robin, or did go by Robin, because, let's go ahead and play this. Go ahead.
Electric dryer. User manual. Dryer safety. Your safety and the safety of others are very important. We have provided many important safety messages in this manual and on your appliance. Always read and obey all safety messages.
Normal kid. Young man, excuse me. Pigtails. His mom calls him Robin. His father, supposedly from the DOD and CIA for 29 years, calls him Robin. How about you, both you parents? Why don't you call him by his birth name, which is his name, Robert, and don't continue to feed into the absolute mental disease that your son had? My son and I will be watching TV, or we'll watch some podcasts, and they go to the ultra gay. They always go to some ultra gay character person, and they're so grossly flamboyant or so grossly butch. I just asked my son, does that resemble that attitude, the way they stand, the way they dress, the way they speak, their cadence, the verbiage they use, the sound, the pitch of their voice? Is that in any way within the norms of society? Is that even in the outer rims of normal society? And the answer is no. I'm not saying everybody's got to conform to wear whatever. No, I'm saying you don't act like that unless there's something mentally wrong with you. Let's just call it what it is. You got flamboyant gay men. That's not normal. It's not normal behavior. It's just not. Can we just be honest finally in this world? Seeing a woman that looks like a box refrigerator with shorter hair than me is not normal. It's not what women look like. It's not how they're built. It's not normal. I'm going to show you a picture of grief. You show this one for me, Thomas? That say it all for you, people? Don't you worry. That mother has been to hell and back. That kid is changed. He ain't coming back, that kid. He's not that kid anymore. That young man is not that kid anymore. It's not. You just robbed him of his childhood. Gone. Zeroed out, gone. That mother's never going to be the same again. Never, never, never. She's going to be holding on to her child. It's going to have a devastating negative impact on their lives. Thank you, Thomas. You can pull that off. But I want you to understand that's okay. Really, it's okay to the left. That's just collateral damage. That's just, you have to break a few eggs to make an omelet. As long as Robin Westward, is it Westman? Westman. Robin, the mentally ill boy named Robert, that with pigtails, as long as he's affirmed, who cares? If he has to shoot out the window and kill some kids praying in church, it's okay. Hell, we don't even know what the motive is for him killing these kids. That's what the police chief said. Don't know the motive. Finally, before I bring my first guest in, I want to show you the church. Can you show this picture for me? Now, the only difference is this is a Sunday Mass. It's Catholic. I'm Catholic. So I want you to take all of those people out of those pews and replace them with kindergartners to 8th graders. This is my church. This looks like my church. I've been to the daily Mass where my son is maybe reading one of the Gospels, or he's altar serving, or he's bringing up the gifts. That's my church. It looks like my church. Different colors, but it's built like my church. Now imagine that effing savage, that sexually perverted piece of human trash is shooting through the stained glass windows and shooting at those poor kids sitting there. And you're telling me that we shouldn't jump on the trans community? They're normal people. They're people that cut off their penis and testicles. That's normal. Those are women that rip their breast off, literally have a surgery with a scar that crosses their chest because they tore their breast out. That's normal. It's normal for women to close up their vagina as much as they can and take skin off of their legs and arms and buttocks and create some, like Play-Doh, a penis. That's normal. It's normal for guys to cut off, castrate themselves, and then have a gaping hole between their legs. That's normal. That's normal. You don't want to talk about it because it's uncomfortable and you don't like it. But it's normal. This is our society today. That's why I'm telling you, when I'm in the world now, whatever civility I have, now I'm not talking about just going and living life. I'm civil and kind. But when it comes to transgender freaks, crazy ass liberals, Karens, or whatever, I'm not the guy to deal with. You do not want to get into my sphere of life. God forbid my son or my wife's. I'm the worst guy in the world for you to do that to. Just if you see me and recognize me, go away. Because I'll make you go away. I will make you go away. And I won't think twice about it. And when I'm done making you go away, I'm going to smile. Because I know God's going to look down on me and say, thank you. Thank you for being one of the few men in the world that actually has the courage to do the right thing. Thank you for having the courage in a world filled with cowards. Thank you, JJ. I'll take away some of the sins that I would send you to hell for. You still have a fighting chance. Before I bring in Kim Yater, I want to talk about Pet Club 24/7. Pet Club 24/7. Maybe, Thomas, you can play the commercial real quick, and then I want to talk about Pet Club because it ties in exactly what our show was last night. Go ahead and play that, please. Pet Club 24/7. Why is that important? Yesterday we had on the show John Richardson talking about cancer, talking about how we have been lied to our whole lives about the healing of it. And one of the ways to heal cancer is your immune system has to be optimal. And he has certain things that you need to eat, seeds. One way to get your immune system right is Pet Club 24/7. Go to truthwithjj247.com and get the mushroom from Japan that has put in capsule form, and it helps your immune system, your gut, and inflammation. We have to fight. Let me tell you how powerful what we're talking about, Pet Club 24/7, and talking to people like Mr. Richardson yesterday. Let me tell you how it strikes a nerve. I talk about transgender, corruption, open borders, government incestuous garbage that happens in our government. Never get a ding from YouTube. I know they're suppressing me, but you know what? My show last night got canceled. My show got ripped off of YouTube and thrown away. Why? Because we were talking about cancer treatments. You can't make this up. We don't live in America anymore. You may call it the United States of America, but it ain't the same America. It's just not. If we're going to be honest, let's just be honest. Look, I have zero hope. I mean, let me take that back. I got about a percentage and a half of hope for this country. That's why I bring Kim Yater. Kim, welcome to the show. I need some hope.
JJ. JJ Carrell, it is an honor to be here. I love being on the back end of the show to be able to hear the conversation beforehand. And I'll tell you what, in the Bible, it says the righteous will live by faith. And there's so many people I talk to, JJ, that have tapped into our Patriots Made resource that, you've shared here on the show. And this is the words they say to me. I hope to be half the man that JJ is. You see, what they're seeing, JJ, is the spirit of indignation. When Jesus turned over the money tables in the temple, it was saying, you are making my home a den of thieves. You are cheating people. This is not about loving people. This is not about meeting people's needs and taking care of people. It's not. And Gigi, what I love about you is you are creating a space where you're showing up authentically and you have this spirit of indignation. God is so sick and tired of what's happening. And I want to share a scripture that is so powerful because it really marks the times that we're in. And this is Paul in the Bible speaking to the Greeks and the Romans. And it's called God's wrath against sinful humanity. And we got to remember, for all have sinned and fallen short of the glory of God. That's all of us. But there's a repentance he calls us to. And this is how he marks it out. He says, the wrath of God is being revealed from heaven against all godlessness and wickedness of the people who suppress the truth by their wickedness. Since what may be known about God is plain to them, because God has made it plain to them. For since the creation of the world, God's invisible qualities, his eternal power, his divine nature have been clearly seen, being understood from what has been made, nature all around us, so that people are without excuse. For although they knew God, they neither glorified him or gave thanks to him, but their thinking became futile and their foolish hearts darkened. Although they claimed to be wise, they became fools and exchanged the glory of the immortal God for images made to look like mortal human beings and birds and animals and reptiles. Therefore, here it is. God gave them over in the sinful desires of their hearts to sexual impurity, for the degrading of their bodies with one another. They exchanged the truth of God for a lie and worshiped and served created things rather than the Creator, who is forever praised. Because of this, God gave them over to shameful lust. Their women exchanged natural sexual relations for unnatural ones. In the same way, the men also abandoned natural relations with women and were inflamed with lust for one another. Men committed shameful acts with other men and received themselves the due penalty for this error. And then finally, it says, furthermore, just as they did not think it worthwhile to retain the knowledge of God, so God gave them over to a depraved mind. That's what we're seeing today. So that they do not do what ought to be done. They have become filled with every kind of wickedness, evil, greed, depravity. They are full of envy, murder, strife, deceit, and malice. They are gossipers, slanderers, God haters, insolent, arrogant, boastful. They invent ways of doing evil. They disobey their parents. They have no understanding, no fidelity, no love, no mercy, although they knew God's righteous decree that those who do such things deserve death. They not only continue to do these very things, but also approve of those who practice them. That is the time we're living in right now. That's why God is calling us to repentance, because we have allowed this on our watch. We've let the government rule the nest. We've entrusted our leaders to lead, but we have not chosen wisely. We've become the frog in the water. And here we are now seeing evil as it is. And JJ, I just give it to you. I give it to you because your indignation is what every single one of us need to be standing in, saying, you know what? The Bible says to hate sin, love the sinner, but hate the sin. That's what we need to call out right now, that this is demonic, this is evil, what's happening. And where does it come from? It's all the broken pieces, all the trauma, the hurt, the depravity, all of those things. When we look for something else to fill it, other than God, let me tell you, evil will come in and fill it. It'll fill it, and you'll become even more depraved. So we know what to pray for. We need to be praying for healing. We need to be praying for restoration. We need to cancel this demonic attack on our children and on the generations to come. We have the ability to take our power back, but it's going to start with our personal relationship with God, that we are turning our hearts back to God. Then we'll have the wisdom and discernment to know what to do.
Well, Kim, you said something. I agree with everything you said. We are living you described what we're living in. You just, if you just took it back to Old Testament and just said, hey, I'm going to read to you what someone wrote, some theologian wrote about today, you were like, yeah, that's pretty dang on spot. No, that's what God wrote about. So now we're living it. And I also agree, and I think this needs to be discussed, and it needs to be discussed openly amongst Christians, is we are watching demonic possession. There is no other look, this guy, Robin, if you look at his manifesto, he wrote, and he looked into a mirror. He wrote a picture of himself looking in the mirror, and there's Satan. There's Satan. I want to show you two pictures. I want to show you two posts and get your take on it. But I'd like to show them, Thomas, back to back. Let's show her the first one. I'll talk through it and talk through the Charlie Kirk post. So these are the leaders, and I hate to even say that way. These are the leaders of Minnesota. So you have crazy ass Waltz, he's sexually perverse on his own. Ilhan Omar married a brother. That's Fry, the mayor, crying in front of George Floyd. The woman in the middle is the lieutenant governor, that crazy ass freak that killed the kids last night on upper right. That's Waltz's wife. That is so strange, no one knows. And that guy is running for the black man in the bottom, is a Somali national. I believe he's a first generation American. I could be wrong, but it's still Somalian allegiance. That's the people running Minnesota and Minneapolis. Now, can you go to the next one for me? So this is now came out this morning, and Charlie Kirk posts, I'll give him credit for that, but it's going all over. This young man confessed he's tired of being trans and wish I never brainwashed myself. Thank you, Thomas. Kim, even the people that are demonically possessed know that it's happening to them. They know.
And if you've ever dealt with demonic possession, let me tell you, they kowtower at the name of Jesus Christ. Let me tell you, we have power. Jesus says we will do even greater things than him. That's crazy when you think about it. But we will tell these spirits to leave in the name of Jesus. We have got to take our power back. With words we create. We have the power to create. God created everything into existence with his word. Jesus is the living word. Okay, the one true God. We have the ability to cast out these demons. We need to start walking in power, the power that comes from God. The only way to do that is to restore our identity. Who are we? We are daughters of the Creator. We are sons of the Creator, man and woman here for purpose. So the reality is this is demonic possession, but we are not powerless to this. We are powerful and we can cancel it and we can declare God's kingdom on this earth. And I'm telling you, JJ, we the people have got to rise up. We've got to take our God-given power back. We've given it away. We've gotten our identity confused. We don't even know who we are. We're stuck in, I'm not good enough. I'm stupid. I'm not lovable. I have to earn my love. We're stuck in these identities that are from the pit of hell. We need to restore identity back to we the people and back to this country and God being back in his rightful place. And I'm telling you what, things will shift. Our enemy, Satan, we will trample him under our feet. And those that have given their way over to that lifestyle, let me tell you, the light shines the brightest in the darkness. When we begin to hold our torches up, when we begin to stand up, JJ, we the people, God will use us powerfully. We are the vessels. And let me tell you, those people that are caught up in that lifestyle, if there is that hint of truth in them, the hint of truth, because God's creation is still in there. We will ignite that creation. We will cast out those devils. And let me tell you, we are called to snatch those from the fire. That's what we're called to do. So yeah, we can have them all burn in hell. We can. But there are those that are around us. They're even our family members. You know them. We all have them. And they're going the wrong way. We are the ones who are chosen to go and speak truth to them, to love them, not accuse them. Remember, Satan is the accuser. We need to be life, be the word of life in their life to lead them back to the truth. So what's happening right now in this world, guys? It's not going to get brighter. It's going to get darker for a while until you realize your true identity and you take your power back and stand in it. God needs you. Does he really need you? Man, the world needs you. You're here for purpose. That's why we're here today. Sorry, JJ.
No,
I don't know what to say today.
No, you're spot on. And you said something that I have really been starting to think about. And that you said a phrase, who are we as a nation? And you know what? I heard that statement or that phrase, I want to say about a month ago, and I've been really chewing on it. And I've looked around and done some research. No one asked that question. No one ever asked, who are we and what do we want to become? No one's ever asked that. We just have been going through the minutia of life going, well, we're Americans. Okay, wait a minute. You just brought in 50 million illegal aliens.
That's right.
The demographics completely shift. Now we're full on sexual perversion. Now we have perversions inside of our churches, our house of worship. Now it's who are we? Nobody has any idea. Honestly, Kim, if I ask that question, what is an American? I have no answer for you now. It doesn't make any difference because we have it's been demolished. It's been minimized and squashed down to mean nothing. Our citizenship is worthless. We just hand it out to whatever third world savage wants to come into America. We used to be a white nation, a nation built on God and Jesus, not Judeo-Christian nation. Not a Jew nation, a Christian nation. We're not a Muslim nation. We're not a Jewish nation. We're not a Buddhist nation. We're a Christian nation, period. White settlers, not immigrants, people that came across and settled the wild of America.
Yes.
We believed in husband and wives, one wife, one husband.
That's right.
Our founding fathers did not understand about lesbian and gays. If they did, it was damn well hush. We have been so perverted in every facet of our life in American citizenship, sexuality, religion, government. Who are we, Kim? Honestly, that's my question to you. What is an American today? Go ahead, try.
So by the way, all my windows are open and so we have all these little creatures coming into my room right now. There's a fly right here. So who are we I go back to the forefathers. I go back. I am part of the Mayflower. I come from the heritage of the pilgrims that came over in New England, right? That's a little bit of my background. But guys, we were the ones that were chosen to come into this land. We were the ones that came in to bring God's freedom. We didn't want to be controlled by the crown. We wanted to walk in the freedom that God gave us. Now, we didn't do it all perfectly because human beings are human beings, right? We need God, that's for sure. But who we are as a nation originally was a people that loved God, a people that walked in truth, a people that loved others, loved one another. There was a husband, a wife, a man, a woman, a family. They were under the covering of God. What we've done in this country is we've taken God out. We've thrown him out to wash. That's what we've done. We've got to bring God back in. It's like in any marriage. If God is not the center of that marriage, let me tell you, Satan gets in there. He will become the division of that marriage. God has got to be the center of all of our relationships. We got to go back to the beginning. We got to go back to the Constitution. And before that, we got to go back to the Word of God and living it out, not in religion, but in relationship. The greatest command is to love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, all your mind, and all your strength. And he says the other is like it, to love others as you love yourself. You see, we tend to jump over, love God, love others. We see it in churches. People are burned out. It's the same people serving, the same people showing up. It's love others as you love yourself. How do we even love ourselves? The only way to love ourselves is to see our true identity from the Creator as a child, a daughter of the King of Kings. So who are we as America? We are a new creation. We are a new creation of what is possible. A country that's built on the principles of the Word of God. That's who we can be. We can create the kingdom, God's kingdom, which is full of truth and light and good and love. We can bring that on this earth. It's not a utopia. But the reality is, it is something that we can create. We can create unity. We can create that peace here. But it only comes from the Creator. Without him, we're going to hell in a handpot.
Yep. And we're almost there. And we're heading right there. And we need to take our power back. You have a show called Take Your Power Back.
Yes,
and takeyourpowerback.com. And you and I share we share a sponsor, and our sponsor is Patriots Made. And this goes hand in glove what we're talking about. We have been giving for decades the power to the corporations, to the box stores that hate us. And this is not my feeling. This is what we know who they give the money to. They give it to Planned Parenthood. They give it to No Kings. They give it to BLM. They give it to defund the police. They do everything. Nobody that I used to buy product from used to give money to Little Sister of the Poor, the Catholic Church, or the Baptist Church down the street that does homeless. No. It has to go to anti-Christian, anti-American groups. So I would like to give you 60 seconds to just tell us about Patriots Made. Why do you and why do I go to patriotsmade.com and purchase our products there? Why? Why don't I just keep going to Walmart?
Yes, Gigi, I had no idea that I was giving my power away as I was raising kids. I had no idea why Ashley had allergies, why I had eczema, why I was dealing with back pain and all kinds of body things that I couldn't get rid of. And I was utilizing all the tools, Procter & Gamble, Colgate and Palmolive, Johnson & Johnson, Unilever. I had no idea back then that they had the junk in the trunk, the parabens, the alcohols, the sulfates, close in the quaternary disinfectants. They literally are heavy metals and poisons. The more heavy metals that go into that body, since our skin is the largest organ of our body, within seconds goes into the bloodstream. It is a slow demise of our well-being. I was giving my power away because I bought into the illusion of choice that the television told me to buy from the advertisers, right? But then I learned, I saw what was possible with our resource. Our Patriot Made resource is the best of science and nature. They are a manufacturer that will not make a product unless it's the best out there. And they're all made here in the good old USA with the best of science and nature. I tapped in, and that was the game changer for me. Back pain gone, no surgery, Spartan races, sprint triathlons. Daughter Ashley's allergies gone. She graduates from college, breaks the record, fastest goal scored in soccer in the history of the school, 17, good number, by the way. And eczema gone for me. Now, I've helped thousands in every arena of wellness for the past 28 years, but for the past 20 is where I've gotten real results. And it's this toolbox at patriotsmade.com/JJ. Whether it's turning the lights into the body with nutrition that actually absorbs and shook up the entire nutritional community, or it's getting the toxins out, do both. If we don't take our power back right now, as they turn up the 5Gs, as they put the junk in the air, as they continue to poison us with products, we're giving our power away. Take it back now. Go to patriotsmade.com/JJ. One of our team of experts will reach back and help you tailor this to your specific wellness needs. That's patriotsmade.com/JJ. I took my power back. JJ took this power back. We're going to stand with you in taking your power back. Don't be surprised if it's even me that calls you. We're standing with you guys.
Kim Yater.
Our real Americans, our real patriots.
Yes, we need to take our country back, and we need to take it. And because,
right,
like I told my wife and son last night, we are in a war. Everyone else around us doesn't understand. They're in code white. You say you're code white. We don't need to be in code red, but we need to be alert because everything is about to change in our country. Kim Yater, thank you very much. TakeYourPowerBack.com.
Thank you.
God bless you.
Love you guys.
Bye-bye. Kim Yater. Talk to her for hours. She has great points. I believe it's demonic. Every Friday, we have Chris from sat123.com on our show. And tomorrow, and because it's Labor Day weekend, we're not going to be on tomorrow or Monday. So I gave Chris a call and say, hey, listen, you and I every week tell people be prepared, be prepared. And ballistic backpack, ballistic shield, I need you to come on. Please come on. And let's talk about this school shooting and what our viewers, our audience can purchase to protect their children. Or just give them a fighting chance, for God's sake. Just a fighting chance. Chris, come on in. How are you doing today, man?
I'm good, JJ, but a very sad week, obviously. Absolutely devastating what happened there in Minneapolis. And, you know, unfortunately, though, this is not the first time this year. It won't be the last. And like you're just saying, like all you can do is be prepared. There's nothing that you can buy and nothing you do to completely protect yourself in all situations, as you know better than most people. But what you can do is you can take basic precautions. And one of those for yourself or for your kids is a ballistic backpack. And look, JJ, you would never go out on your job without ballistic protection. And unfortunately, you shouldn't send your kids to school without it either these days. I mean, I hate to have to say that, but you know, this is why we developed this, JJ, because you just get so tired. We got so tired of seeing all these kids killed so many times because in the classroom, what other protection do they have? You know, they have nothing. You can't hide behind a wooden desk. That's not going to help you, you know. But this backpack that we developed in conjunction with those in law enforcement and in special operators and from the SEAL team out there in San Diego, they helped us design this ballistic backpack in order to give maximum protection for you, no matter where you are, JJ.
Well, you know what? You and I talk about this week in, week out about being prepared. And like you said, it's not an if this is going to happen. No, when is it going to happen? How bad is it going to be? So when I send my son, look, I said before you came on, I showed a picture of the church where the guy shot the windows out and killed these kids. That's my church. It looks identical from my church from the altar looking in. Yeah, right there. It looks identical to my church. And the thought that my son could get sniped down by some mental patient, the probability is not zero, Chris. It's not even in the realm of crazy. No, it's in the realm of happening. So my son goes to school every single day with your company's backpack. It goes up with the ballistic backpack. I don't know. Can you show the backpack, Thomas? If you can pull it up while we're talking. Can you just tell the audience, just describe it. You said you took law enforcement and Navy SEALs to construct it. Is it gigantic or is it so heavy, or can kids carry it?
No, I mean, it's about a standard size of a regular backpack that you buy for your kids or that your kids already have. It weighs just under 2.5 pounds. So it's very light, but it has a ballistic shield in there. And this is the key thing. It's a Kevlar shield that can stop ammunition up to a 44 Magnum handgun, a shotgun blast, or up to 9mm automatic weapons fire. So look, again, there's nothing that can give you complete 100% guaranteed protection, but this is better than a book or or hiding behind a desk, or God forbid, hiding behind someone else. This is actually something you can hold up in front of you. Your kids can hold up in front of themselves to give themselves a fighting chance. And that's exactly why we developed it. And we wanted to make sure, JJ, that it was affordable. Because look, I mean, I've seen numerous backpacks that are $300, $400, $500, and all they do is hold books. That's it. And that's fine. But if you're going to spend, money in a backpack, this is only $199, and it gives your kid all of the things these other backpacks do, but it gives them protection and a fighting chance if, God forbid, they're in the worst case situation. And look, I believe there's been over 55 or 56 shootings so far this year, at schools across America. And that's, I think, a conservative number. And very sadly, what happened this week is, the odds are it is not by a long way going to be the last, So if nothing else, and we very much appreciate you, using our product and promoting it, but I know you do it for a reason, and we built this backpack for a reason, to give everyone the ability to give their kid a fighting chance. But look, it's, as we know, it's not just kids anymore, right? You could be sitting in your hedge fund office in downtown Manhattan, midtown Manhattan, a guy comes in with AR-15 or whatever it is, and next thing you know, there's bodies all over the place. This can happen absolutely anywhere, and it does happen absolutely everywhere. There is an epidemic of gun crime out there, and look, we can't stop that. But what we can do is we can protect ourselves, our family, and our kids. And this is our best idea for that, JJ. It won't stop everything, and it's not guaranteed to protect you, save your life in any situation. But again, what ballistic gear can do, and it can save lives, and it does save lives every single day.
Well, it gives you a fighting chance. And just so our audience understands this, or give you an idea. So my son goes, I see him pack his backpack every morning. He has all his books, enough room for his lunch, a jacket. Then he has his thermos, goes on the side. It's like every other functioning backpack, but it has a ballistic shielding, give him a fighting chance to survive. And I'm going to say this. You said you're right. Backpacks cost $200, $300, $400, $500. My son's using the same backpack 2 years in a row. This is the first time that a backpack has withheld one, not even 1 year, like maybe 75% of a school year, and it's thrashed, and I'm pinning it together, hoping that I don't have to go buy another one for a month, right? This is the quality of this backpack. And if you don't, like I tell people, and I've said this to you with you on the show, if you don't think you need it, and you want to just send your kid with a little lolly, a good, nice little strawberry shortcake for your little girl, and maybe some Batman for your boy, go ahead. My wife has hers, I have mine, and my son has his ballistic backpack. It is essential. Is that not the sickest thing to say right now in our world? Is essential. A ballistic backpack is essential, but it is, Chris. I'll give you the final word. This is unbelievable. Yeah. Every single time this happens, and it happens, and no one's prepared. We have to be prepared, Chris.
You're absolutely right. And look, if you think about every parent out there, they worry about their kids when they go anywhere. But unfortunately, when they go to school, they're just as worried, if not more so. you know. So give your kids something that gives them a fighting chance. Like you said, it's going to help your peace of mind, but more than that, it's going to potentially save your kid's life. And $199, these things are still on sale, despite the fact that we've been deluged with calls and sales, you know, ever since this happened. And it's very sad to be able to have to talk about any of this, but this is why we made this thing. You know, we made it so you can give your kids a fighting chance. Every time you kiss them goodbye, send them off to school or wherever, you know that if they end up, God forbid, in this kind of horrific situation, which, like you said, is unfortunately, the odds aren't zero, they are greater than zero that this will happen. You know that you've done the absolutely everything you can by giving them a way to protect their life and potentially save it. They can call us, JJ, at 941-841-0844. That's 941-841-0844. Or you can go to sat123.com/JJ. That's SAT123.com/JJ. And as ever, man, I really appreciate you talking about this. Hate to have this subject come up yet again. But, you know, I'm guessing it probably won't be the last time this year.
No, I hate talking about it, but you're right. It won't be the last time. Chris, thank you very much for your time today, and thanks for coming on a day early to talk to us. Have a great weekend, my friend.
You too, mate. Thanks, man.
Hate having that conversation. I hate it. My son walks out of the car, and I'm like, I love that kid so much. Okay, he's got a ballistic backpack. Okay, good. And then I think to myself, how sick is this world? How effing sick is this place, man? I want to stay on this. I got about 5 minutes left. I want to stay on this topic, and I want to talk about RFK Jr. If you can just show this, Thomas, this is a clip from RFK Jr., HHS Secretary, and he's talking about looking into SSRIs, and those are selective serotonin reuptake inhibitors. This is what these kids are on, these transgender, these gender fluid, these binary, these whatever furries, whatever you want to call mental patients are on these. Watch this question and how RFK Jr. answers it.
Prevent it, and we're still trying to get a lot of answers to a ton of questions. But the one thing is clear: you are dealing with a person who's trans, that was transitioning. Are you going to be examining at all some of the drugs that are used in order to make that transition happening, to see if it plays a role? Because we also know there was a trans shooter in the Tennessee situation.
Yeah, we are doing those kind of studies now at NIH. We're launching studies on the potential contribution of some of the SSRI drugs and some of the other psychiatric drugs that might be contributing to violence. You know, many of them on there have black box warnings that warn of suicidal ideation and homicidal ideation. So we can't exclude those as a culprit, and those are the kind of studies that we're doing.
So I've never seen that medicine, but you're saying that if you get it, some of the side effects could be homicide, suicide?
Well, there are black box warnings on some of these psychiatric drugs that warn about, in their clinical trials, that they saw suicidal and homicidal ideation. So, you know, we are going into that with an open mind.
That's good, Thomas. Just keep pumping our kids full of it. What's the manifestation of this craziness? I'm going to show you a clip, and it says it all. Our houses of worship have been demonized. Satan is laughing. Satan is loving it. I bet you Satan can't even believe this is happening. I honestly believe that. I believe he's like, I never thought I would get to this point. Holy cow, look at this. This is how sick our nation is, how sick we are. Go ahead and play this if you can stomach watching it.
Amen. But performing gender as a daily task, I would argue, is a learned cultural trait to which we have all been exposed. As understandings of drag have changed throughout history, perhaps drag today could be defined as that which threatens the already fragile and arbitrarily constructed framework for gender performance that is necessary to maintain power dynamics. Conversely, it could also be that from the moment we are born, and perhaps even before that, when families gather to reveal the sex organs of their child, that the drag show begins. The blue confetti falls and the pink smoke clears, and there's a mad dash to project cultural and societal expectations of gender performance onto that child. These are learned behaviors that can be shaped either through shame or affirmation based on a perceived correct performance.
Thomas, can you go back and just show a clip toward the end, a freeze frame at the end, please? Just if you can show it. I want to just make sure. Okay, that's perfect. Do you understand that this woman has painted on a beard in God's house, and she has painted on horns on her forehead? I want to make sure my audience, this doesn't go unnoticed. She has horns on her forehead. This isn't like a little abnormal. This is satanic. This is demonic. And I've said this many times on the show, and I'm going to continue to say it. And if you don't like it, go watch some other moron on cable news. That our nation has fallen into a moral rot, and we're wallowing in it. And it's going to take strong people to lead us out of it. And I'm not talking about politicians and entertainment and sports. I'm talking about average people, quote, average people are going to rise up. And someone from the, quote, average world is going to rise up, and they're going to take our country back. If you're not disgusted with the way America is right now, I truly believe that you hate her as much as our enemy hates her. The Democrats, the left, the mentally insane, the sexually perverse, and the demonic that hate America. I believe that. And you're going to find yourself on the wrong side of this war, and it's going to be painful.
I'll tell you one little quick story. We had a Worldview Weekend client who lived in California, lost their house, very wealthy guy. He didn't use Bitcoin. He came over here, drove to Arizona with $286,000 worth of his gold because he had no money and no house available. His bank was shut down because he couldn't have access to his bank account.
Was this during the fire? Was this during the fires?
During the fire. Didn't have his driver's license. He lost it. The state wouldn't give him a new license because he had no active mailing address. Real mess. So he came to Arizona to buy a house. He's moving everything over. He said, the only thing I got in my possession that I can get liquid with right now is my gold. I gave him a check for $286,000, and guess what? I didn't need his social, his driver's license. Sort of smiled, and I said, you know, I know you and Brandon talked about how this worked, but boy, this is great. I feel good. I got my money. Nobody bothered me, and I'm protected, and it's private. So you people out there who are sitting on your hands when Wes and I are sending you these requests and Brandon and you are talking to you, you better get active because you're going to pay me $4,000 an ounce the end of the year. Trust me.
You better get your. I highly suggest you get your free packet. You don't have to do anything. It's free, no obligation. Just simply go to worldviewgold.com, fill out the form, worldviewgold.com, or just text Wes and give him your name and address and say, I want the free packet. That's all you got to do. 602-558-8585, 602-558-8585.
Welcome to Technocracy News with your host, Patrick Wood. I'm your co-host, Logan House. Today we have Dr. Reiner Fullmich, a persecuted hero of the resistance, Trilateral Commission member Larry Fink to co-lead the World Economic Forum, and the U.S. government is waging psychological war on its citizens. How are you doing today, Patrick?
I'm doing just great, thank you. We had a great time last night on the Technocracy Roundtable. It was broadcast on your channel as well as on YouTube and Twitter. We had several thousand people viewing. And will it have an impact? I don't know, but I'm hoping that will. So we'll have to see. But
well, every little bit helps, right?
It really does. It really does. So we're going to do this again, though. I'm kind of excited. Moving forward, we'll get people, tuned in, and maybe the other experts will have something to say on the topic as well. Not just me. I feel like I'm always kind of on point, if you will. Well, I like to see other people saying the same thing that I'm saying, and they bring another perspective, and that's important to me and to people in general. Yeah. But anyway, we had a great time.
Well, we have this first article here. This was your friend, correct?
Surely was. Surely was. Reiner Fuellmich is known to many as kind of the leader of the resistance against COVID in particular. However, I have to say he had a keen understanding of technocracy. That's because mostly I interviewed him, or he interviewed me many times on his, not podcast, but his channel, if you will. And he had a profound effect, I think, on the resistance, the people who were trying to stand up to the COVID debacle. That was the doctors that lost their jobs, the professors that got run out of universities, et cetera. These are professional people, and so many just were so harmed, not by the shots, not by COVID itself, but the treatment that they had at the hands of these tyrants. So Reiner was kind of the first guy that blew the whistle on that whole thing, and he's paid with his life now. This is the story, basically. He was arrested in Mexico, of all places. He was living in Mexico at the time. He has a house in Northern California as well, but he was living in Mexico at the time with his wife. And lo and behold, the Germans lured him into the embassy in Tijuana to renew his passport. And as soon as he got in the doors, the authorities from Germany assaulted him, kidnapped him, and took him to Germany, to Frankfurt, where he didn't have a clue what was going on at the time. There's no charges leveled at him. When he got off the plane, they arrested him, took him to jail, where he's been ever since. He's a political prisoner. The charges that were leveled against him were certainly spurious, certainly not, they weren't threatening in that sense, like he was a hardened criminal or something, or killing people, or extorting people. He didn't do that at all. The charges that were leveled against him, they've mostly fallen apart at this point. But the Germans are intent on keeping him in jail because he was such a loud voice for the resistance, and he wouldn't shut up. That's we shared that characteristic, I think.
And I'm reading that he was held for a year and a half and then was finally sentenced like in April to 3 years. But they're not acknowledging the year and a half that they have already been holding him unlawfully. Not
exactly. And he has new charges being filed against him, I believe, right now. The intent is to keep him in jail indefinitely. Now, Reiner's not a young guy. He's, I think he just turned maybe 66. But he's going to be in jail probably at this point for at least 3 years. and it's mean-spirited. It's just absolutely mean-spirited persecution. We need to take a lesson on this in this country.
Yeah.
Freedom comes with a price. Those who are willing to stand up and risk being hassled, if you will, you're going to pay, some of us will pay a price. Reiner got tagged big time by the German authorities. They absolutely hated his guts because what he said, how he presented. In fact, he had over 500 interviews with top scientists, doctors, lawyers around the world who were affected wrongly by COVID. He told the story of all these people who couldn't get any audience otherwise. And when these stories got out, it just grated the nerves of big pharma, the German authorities, especially because they were complicit in all this in the first place. And so Reiner became a target. That's all you can say. And he's still a target to this day. So Reiner and I intersected personally and in person. We were invited to speak together on a tour, a 9-city tour across the country in America. We called it the Crimes Against Humanity Tour. That was in early 2022. And it was pathetic how few people came to hear us speak. You would think at that point, America should have been up in arms on what was going on. We hardly could draw 150 people to come and hear us speak. I was so ashamed of America at that point. What are you people thinking out there? You get in here and understand what's going on. Well, that came and went for sure, but that may have been one thing that really kind of pushed him over the edge to be a target in the first place, an international target. I've never been out of the country, basically, some time ago, but I haven't traveled internationally. Reiner did. He went to several countries, including like Mexico, here, Germany, and other countries in Europe. So he was an international traveler, and he was an international figurehead as well. So you can see maybe he took the heat more than I would ever take the heat. But, this was such a shameful episode in America's history that we just lost our minds. The whole country lost its mind all at once. And they're still reeling, I think. Anyway, that's...
Yeah, I mean, the whole world basically lost their mind.
I know. What can you say? I feel like I've been the tip of the spear for over 15 years now to expose the technocracy. It's been somewhat successful. There's a few people now that are joining me in this crusade, if you will. We have some journalists, broadcasters like you and your dad, some influencers from all walks of life, not just maybe from the investment world, the crypto world, or whatever, but as a variety of people have come forward now to fight against this type of tyranny. But the takeaway from this story about Reiner, telling the truth is going to cost you.
Yeah.
There's no escaping it. If you tell the truth, you're going to have resistance against you. Maybe you won't be tagged like Reiner has been tagged, but you're going to pay a price. I've certainly paid a price as well. I know you guys have paid over time with things that have happened to you. But we need to remember, we're in a war right now. We've been saying this for so many months now. This is an omni-war that's being prosecuted against humanity. And until we understand that we're in a war and it's coming for us, if we do not resist, it's going to swamp us altogether. These are existential times for freedom and liberty, in my opinion.
Yeah. Yep. And just to add on to it, we have our next story before we go to break. Larry Fink co-leading the World Economic Forum after I already forgot the guy's name. That's how pointless he is.
Klaus Schwab.
Klaus Schwab.
Yes.
Klaus Schwab. After Klaus Schwab made his way out. But we'll talk about this more after the break. But Larry Fink, he's the CEO of BlackRock, so he's already one of the most powerful men in the world, if not, if not the most powerful. All the money he manages.
Follow the money.
Now he's leading World Economic Forum.
Yeah, it's amazing. Well, let's unpack that when we get back.
Yep, we'll be right back after this break.
July 6, 2005. This is Tom Harper. Man figures plankton stopped his rare cancer. We got more of a response from our viewers than anything else you and I have ever discussed.
Tom Harper, 20 years ago, he had mesothelioma, deadly lung cancer, was given weeks to live, and he just intuitively started to eat the phytoplankton out of his fish tanks because he fed the phytoplankton to his shellfish. He was a shellfish farmer. And when he went in for the surgery, the surgeon came out of the operating room and told his family, I have not ever seen anything like it. The cancer is benign, and Tom Harper lived for years. He retired in Hawaii. We're not making any claim.
Here he is in his own words.
Started on a daily routine of just taking a bit of paste, putting it in my mouth, and wash it down with a drink of water. Within about 10 to 15 days, here I am, less pain in my back. I knew that something was going on, so I just kept eating half a teaspoon of this paste a day. I was booked to go for surgery in Victoria where they were going to do what they call a talc treatment. They went in there to have a look, saw something they never seen before, took 11 sites, sent them away for biopsy. I got the news back. Everything was benign. They just did not know what to make of it. Everything was absolutely clean. And I've tried dieting all my life because I'm a diabetic. If it's a coincidence or not, I don't know. My blood sugar started dropping. My weight started falling off. Here I am, no longer requiring insulin, and I was taking 88 units a day of insulin. I can eat just about what I want in moderation, and I have no elevated sugar levels, and I feel fabulous.
People, you hear the word cancer, and they want you to be instilled with fear. Cancer is nothing but a profound failure of the immune system. And what happened with Tom Harper is the phytoplankton is microscopic. It's God's microscopic food. And the Gatatiana is the most nutritionally comprehensive strain phytoplankton in the world. David Hunter studied phytoplankton for 20 years because he worked for Tom Harper and he was there in person and witnessed Tom's recovery. It's about getting pure nutrition inside your cells. And what happens, your body balances again or goes back to homeostasis. And when your body is pH balanced or in homeostasis, disease can't grow. It is literally microscopic, pure single cell plant food with protein and omega-3 fatty acids, omega-6 fatty acids, with amino acids and vitamins and minerals. 1 scoop a day. There's 90 billion plant cells in here just for everyday nutrition and energy and, cognitive support, because this is God's pure nutrition.
Go to melissahousegpa.com today. Discover the science and learn more about the wonderful benefits of Gatatiana phytoplankton. That's melissahousegpa.com. melissahousegpa.com.
Welcome back to Technocracy News. We have Larry Fink, Trilateral Commission, to co-lead the World Economic Forum. Patrick, does this surprise you?
Yes. No, not really. Here's the backstory on this whole thing. The Trilateral Commission was the first organization, Henry Kissinger in particular, he was a founder of the Trilateral Commission in 1973. Henry Kissinger was the guy who tapped Klaus Schwab to start the World Economic Forum in the first place in Europe for the purpose of having another front for Trilateral Commission policy. Well, this character, Dr. Evil, Klaus Schwab, I have to say it, he was a pedestrian academic at best. Nevertheless, he led this organization to infamy, and he trained so many people in the aspects of globalization, taking over the world, that sort of stuff. And he had a huge influence, certainly. He has written several books along the way, like The Great Reset, for instance. And he talked incessantly about the Fourth Industrial Revolution and Humanity 2.0 and all that kind of stuff. He brought in Noah Yuval Harari as a consultant to the WEF, and everybody should have a understanding what he's all about. Crazy nutcake historian from university. I can't remember where he's from, but it's so now that Klaus Schwab has been, well, he's old for one thing. He probably should have retired several years ago, but nevertheless, he just got ousted from the leadership. And who should show up now but another Trilateral Commission member to take over the whole organization? This speaks to me that was the start of the whole thing in the first place at the Trilateral Commission. And now we see first full circle, they're taking over again. This is incredible because Larry Fink is not just any Trilateral Commission members, but probably the most powerful person in the world as far as money is concerned and influence is concerned. It makes sense to me that he would now come to reclaim his rightful spot at the head, to be the head, co-head at least, of the Trilateral Commission or the World Economic Forum.
Well, what's
this is stunning.
Point?
Yeah,
of the two, right?
So now you have Keir Starmer, the PM of Great Britain. He's a member of the Trilateral Commission as well. You have Mark Carney in Canada, PM of Canada now. He's a member of the Trilateral Commission. There's others around. Even President Trump, interestingly, picked one of his national security advisors who is a member of the Trilateral Commission. He let him go after several months, I think in May. But nevertheless, President Trump has been friendly to the Trilateral Commission members as well. These people have been circling like a pack of buzzards around our country and the world to take control of the whole planet. And I said from the beginning that this was all about is a resource grab. It was a land grab in the first place. That's what the Trilateral Commission wrote about back in that day, in the early 70s. Well, now you see all the properties of the world are being harvested, if you will. BlackRock has an immense impact on the resources of the world. Their portfolio exceeds trillions of dollars and influence as well.
Yeah,
so
they're continuing to buy up, single family homes all across the country.
Yes, and even whole neighborhoods at this point. Like they'll come in and take a section of a larger development, maybe a square mile or something less than that, perhaps, but with several hundred homes in it, and just buy the whole thing from the developer, from the contractors, and turn it into rental properties. So, you know, this has been a long-running thread of globalization, I believe, that started in 1973 in the first place. But nevertheless, Larry Fink is at the top of the pyramid at this point. We should be just really concerned now that he, in particular, has been chosen to head the WEF. So we'll see. Yeah. I don't like it at all, but it is what it is.
Yep. And I don't know if you saw, but I'm sure it was some sick, you know, the kid was sick, but the shooter in Minneapolis yesterday in one of his videos was even saying that his bullets were brought to you by BlackRock. But I don't know if that was him just being psycho or what it was.
Oh, yeah. I think that guy was probably psycho.
Oh, yeah. He definitely
girl
was.
Or whoever he is or whatever he is. Is weird.
Well, we got the next story. The U.S. government is waging psychological war on its citizens.
Yeah, isn't that interesting?
Is this to do with Palantir and the different things they're creating?
Well, it does, partly, but I think everybody has a beat on this story. I think what the psychological manipulation has been going on is running amok. And I think people have some understanding, but John Whitehead has really he's been on this story for a long time, but he really nails it in this story, that the military especially is using its technology now to attack Americans. This is so wrong. This is so dystopian. Why or how could our military be focused on American citizens at this point? We're not Afghanistan. We're not Iraq. We're not any other. We're not China, right? Why would our own military be focused on attacking us and manipulating us for a given purpose? This is nobody really talking about this. I think Whitehead has really nailed the whole thing, though. We need to listen to him.
Yeah, and he's been writing on issues like this for a very long time, correct?
He has. To his credit, he hasn't really acknowledged technocracy very much, although I heard him write about it. I saw the word in one article he wrote, but I know he understands the police state aspect and the enforcement arm of technocracy coming through the police state. This is kind of like the Fulmish story, where the police state came after him. It wasn't the technocrats per se, but they used the authority of governments to take people out, right? So this is kind of what it's talking about here. The police state is being channeled, focused against Americans. And this is not a good thing. This is the sign of tyranny. And this is all what this article is all about. It's really sad.
Yeah,
for sure.
And what he's pointing at is not totally, but in a large part, the National Guard, correct, being deployed in all the cities.
Yes, exactly. This there was a time where the federal government or the executive branch could not use federal troops on American soil with good reason. But that's been shattered along the way, chip away. against the what used to be called the posse comitatus theory, where American troops could not police our streets or take any other action in America. We have police forces to do that for all the cities and counties in America. But President Trump now has decided that we're going to use federal troops on the streets of America, carrying weapons, no less. We see this in Washington, D.C. right now, where the guards people can, some of them are carrying weapons. This is a disaster in the making, because there's so many people in the streets now who are going to take exception of that, and they're going to start attacking these federal troops. They don't belong there in the first place, in my opinion, but nevertheless, somebody's going to take a serious shot at them at some point. And then from there, it could be war in America. So many people have been talking about civil war, the possibility of civil war in the last few years. I understand that. I wouldn't like to see it. No way would I want to see Americans killing Americans. But nevertheless, you can see how this is moving in that direction. All you have to do is put guns in the hands of tyrants or wannabe people that they want to be tyrants, but maybe they're just that's their job. They have to answer to their commander or whatever. But nevertheless, they're going to be embroiled in a war eventually, and it can get out of hand so easily at that point that we just don't want to go there. We don't want to go there at all.
Yeah. Yep. Well, we are all out of time for today. We'll be back on Tuesday with a new episode. You got anything you want to say to close this out?
Nope. We'll have another story then, I'm sure.
Yep. Till then, take care.
God bless.
Welcome to Washington Report, Worldview Tube's Washington Report for this evening, Wednesday evening, August 27th, 2025. Thanks for being with us. Ooh, there's so much in the news. Let's get right to it with our co-host of theconservativecaucus.org, theconservativecaucus.org, Mr. Jim Paff. Jim, welcome back to the broadcast. Thanks for being with us.
Thanks for having me, sir. Good to see you.
You too, my friend. All right, let's start out with that guy. I can't stand him. We don't rehearse this show, so I never know if I'm stepping on the toes of some of your friends or not. But let's start out with that complete loser in my book, Trey Gowdy. What a loser. What a loser.
Yeah.
Big mouth.
In this instance, totally, I agree.
Okay, good. He just, I don't know if he's stupid or if he's just deceitful or both. That's my opinion. I'm asking questions. Because didn't he promise us, like the deep state, we're going to get them, we're doing investigations, blah, 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 blah. Kind of like Sean Hannity always saying, stay tuned, big arrests coming, big things coming, night after night. Remember that going on and nothing ever happened? Trey Gowdy just promises the moon. Did he ever deliver? Or is he just a creature of the deep state? Oh, wait a minute. He ended over up at Fox News. I mean, I don't trust Trey or Gay Dowdy or whatever his name is as far as I can. What, Trey? Is that his name?
Trey.
I don't trust Trey as far as I could throw him. And what is with that ferret living on top of his head, Logan? Your turn.
Well, so, I wanted to let you finish your diatribe there.
We do have a clip, by the way. We have a clip, which is what sparked all this.
Yeah, exactly. So when Trey was chairman of Government Reform and Oversight, the one thing he actually did deliver was a decent amount, not enough, of very hard questions that were great sound bites and that exposed a lot, or made Biden administration officials and deep state officials expose themselves publicly. That's about all we got, which doesn't get the job done. That's why what Donald Trump's doing right now, Tulsi Gabbard's doing, I mean, is just radically wonderful. So in a sense, really only the executive branch can really fix these problems ultimately. The Congress, the only power it has is to legislate and to set the laws. They have to be executed in the executive branch. But there are still things that Trey could have done. They never sent referrals.
Maybe like throw people into jail like they did to Steve Bannon.
They can't directly throw people in jail.
Right.
But they can send referrals, criminal referrals. They didn't do any of that. They should have sent subpoenas to certain people that they wouldn't do. A lot of that wasn't Trey's fault because we had a Speaker of the House at the time, Paul Ryan, who was if you are upset with Trey, well, you're going to love Trey if you ever really pay attention to Paul Ryan, who has been one of the worst people to be Speaker ever. But Trey Gowdy didn't really get things done on that committee. James Comer has done a much better job than Trey Gowdy. Actually, Darrell Issa afterwards did a decent job. Trey, no, he never delivered. But
I think it's because Trey's not a real conservative.
So I have to say this, and he came in on the Tea Party wave at the same time that I was coming in to work for Congressman Tim Huelskamp in Congress. Interestingly, he's kind of a loner. He has a different way of thinking about things. He does not sometimes he likes confrontation and hates it all at the same time. It's a really strange thing. I don't trust him any more than I trust you. Wait a
minute. You don't trust him any more than you trust me.
No, any more than you.
Oh, say, wait a minute. Wow.
Yeah, not then. Then I trust you.
Okay, there.
You and I don't trust. Let me get the grammar right. You and I don't trust him in the same way.
Okay,
so,
I felt like that was a personal insult there for a minute, Logan. Didn't you?
I don't even watch his Sunday night program anymore.
No,
I used
of course
to look
not.
at it every once in a while because he carries water for people like Paul Ryan.
Exactly. He carries water for Paul Ryan, which is how he got his job, I'm sure, to start with.
I mean, there you go.
2 peas in a
Jim
pod.
Jordan was the star of that committee at the time, not Trey Gowdy. and Jim didn't have, at that time, authority.
Yep. So why are we going off on this guy? Because he came out today on the Minneapolis tragic school shooting in Minneapolis. What appears to be a transgender, right, Jim?
Yeah. I mean, well, actually, absolutely was a transgender. I looked it up. It's amazing.
All right, before we get there,
their name.
Yeah,
go ahead. Go ahead.
This person
changed their gender and their name not long ago. So yeah, absolutely.
So Trey comes out and says this after the shooting, which is why I'm all revved up and ticked. Here we go.
Our system is reactive. Something bad happens, we react to it. And what people are crying for now is how can we prevent this? How can we stop it? And the only way to stop it is to identify the shooter ahead of time or keep the weapons out of their hands. And so we're going to have a conversation of freedom versus protecting children. I mean, how many school shootings does it take before we're going to have a conversation about keeping firearms out? It's always a young white male, almost always. I mean, did anyone this morning think, I wonder if that was a female? Did any of y'all think that? I mean, there's been one school shooting involving a female.
It was in Tennessee.
One. Yeah, Tennessee. But other than that, it is usually young white males.
Okay. How many of these school shootings have been how many have been transgender, whether school shootings or other murders have been school shootings? So let's go look it up. Can someone please look up how many of these have been transgenders? Because I know it's more than Nashville and this now in Minneapolis. But he wants to blame it on white guys with guns, and we have to choose between freedom and children.
Hey, here's a question for you. How many times did someone initially come out and say it was some conservative or Trump supporter or whatever that did this, and then you found out it was exactly the opposite? Like, let's count those too. Listen, the one constituency that most aligns with these shootings is people that have believed the radical left talking points, the violent, dare I say, talking points of Democrats. The violence is happening almost exclusively because of Democrat talking points or people devoted to Democrat radical policies like transgenderism. And when it comes to transgenderism, I know that the hate crowd would come out and be all negative about it. But the reality is that the transgender mentality is a mental disorder. Like I wouldn't say that homosexuals in general, for example, have a mental disorder. Some do, obviously, but that's a different discussion when we're talking about that. And there are homosexuals that reject these transgender ideals, as we're talking about the LGBTQ plus community, so-called. But anyway, but when it comes to transgenderism, it is a mental disorder. You have to disregard and throw away truth to accept the fact that you are a different gender than you actually are. That's a mental disorder. I don't care what you say. And that leads to these sorts of things. So I don't know how many transgender ones happen, but that is a key factor. Leftism and transgenderism are two key factors.
All right. Here is, I don't even know if I want to show this because I don't have confirmation yet if this is true. Well, we'll show it.
Okay.
We know for sure that's his clip, huh? From his video. That's from the video. We can verify that's in the video.
Which they pulled all the videos down.
Okay, so if this has not been altered and that was in the video, then we've got a word that's been used in Arabic that's been, God has willed it as God has wished. An Arabic phrase. So we're asking our Annie to look into this. But if that's true, that brings a whole nother level to this. Was he not only transgender? Exactly, a transgender Islamist. How does that work? Does he not know that they hang those people by cranes in Iran?
Apparently, though, the reporting I saw had some of the stuff written in Cyrillic, meaning in Russian. So that's an interesting aspect of it. Apparently, some of the things that in the manifesto said, I don't expect forgiveness. I think I'm doing something tragic, and my mind is centralizing around that. They said, kill Donald Trump now. They also were praising Hitler, this guy, and where is your God? These are really the focus of this guy's insane idea to go kill people. And the gun had nothing to do with it. It has everything to do with the mental disorder and the ideology that this guy had.
Was he, can I see that? Is that on his Twitter, Logan? Did he have anti-Israel comments too? Yep. Can we get some of those up there, Logan? You have them bookmarked? I'm looking for them. Oh, look at that. All right. Where's your God? That's one of them I see there. Well, what else you got? Find him. He did say something about Israel, Logan said. Can I show any of these, or is he cussing nonstop? You just bookmarked it. Let me refresh the page. All right. Where is it, Logan? I see the bookmark. Oh, burn Israel. Okay, wait a minute. Burn Israel, destroy Hayas. H-A-I-S? But there he does say, look, at burn Israel. There's more? Let's see. 6 million. Oh, my. 6 million wasn't enough.
Referring to the Holocaust?
Yeah. Israel must fall. Like a phoenix, we rise from the ashes. Now,
this makes what Trey Gowdy said incredibly absurd. Well, we're going to think about security, or we're going to do something about this. Listen, he talked about the reactiveness in these situations.
How about we put guns in the schools, Trey Gowdy? If you say the choice between freedom and children, how about the freedom to arm the teachers? Some of them are former military. Arm the teachers. That's the choice, not limiting our First Amendment Second Amendment rights, you moron, Trey Gowdy, in my opinion.
Let me address
and
what
you're free to come on the show, Trey, but I know you won't show up.
Let's just be very clear about him saying, and we're so reactive, and what are we going to do about it type stuff. Listen, there is a reaction to this, and it's the same brick wall reaction that exists because we have a constitution, and that's the Second Amendment, the right to keep and bear arms. If you want a reaction to this, well, let's just have the same reaction. You cannot take guns away from people. You can't have further restrictions on guns, except where there is actual criminality involved with the use of the gun. So don't even start that. I mean, this is not an argument between safety and rights, because the moment you go for safety, you will take rights away. That's the story of human history. It's also the story of everything that's been happening, I mean, a lot in the United States, but particularly since 9/11. For our safety, we expanded the use of the FISA court. For our safety, we passed the Patriot Act, which takes away Fourth Amendment rights. For our safety, we've got massive computer systems that gather up everything every American says or does on the internet or anywhere, so that the people in the federal government can look at it and take action on it. That's the gambit we play when we seek safety and remove, or security and remove rights. And as Benjamin Franklin rightly said, those who give up rights for a little, and I'm paraphrasing, those who give up rights for a little bit of safety will have neither.
Okay, I think we have a new tweet here. Pro-Palestinian Jewish transgender Minneapolis shooters, a PSYOP designed to designate anyone with anti-Israel sentiment as a terrorist.
I don't need the anti-Israel sentiment. He said other things not related to Israel that are very clear. My goodness, the insanity of these people.
But this is Stu Peters. You know who he is, right?
Yeah.
I mean, he says the most outlandish things about the Jews. But he is a serious, I mean, he's a guy that you should definitely take seriously, right? I mean, has he been a rapper, and what else has he been? Supposedly a bounty hunter, reportedly a bounty hunter? Now he's saying that this was all a psych op. What does that mean? Was it staged? I think they're dead children. I don't think it was staged. What does he mean by that?
I have no clue what he means by that. It's about it's not in precisely the same manner insane, but it's insanity. No, this guy was a transgender person with a mental disorder. He hates Donald Trump. He obviously hates the Catholic Church and people of religious faith, and he went and killed him. How much further do you need to dig? Everything the guy says proves that the motive of what he did here. The videos that were taken down, why do we take these videos down? I mean, I know that they're insane and problematic, and they take them down ostensibly to not inspire other people to do the same thing. I think when you take it down, you do more inspiration of it because people don't quite get the information. But the guy said in the videos what he intended to do and why. And you see all the pictures of everything he wrote on all of his stuff. This was a premeditated murder of Catholics because he hates Donald Trump, he hates people of faith, he hates God, hated God, and wanted to destroy people's lives. It's not any more complex than that.
Yep. All right, hold right there. Jim Papp of theconservativecaucus.org here on Worldview Tube. We'll be right back after this break. The businessman from Texas that spent years trying to bring the perfect red heifers to Israel is coming to speak in Collierville, Tennessee, outside of Memphis, on Friday night, October 3rd, Saturday, October 4th. They now have sacrificed one of those red heifers. There it is burning. They've now gained 10 gallons of ashes. Why do they need this? Well, the Old Testament, Numbers chapter 19, says that for the purification ceremony, for their temporary tabernacle or full-time temple, they need the ashes of a perfect red heifer. This is the first time this has happened in over 2,000 years. The story is going global. It's highly controversial. In fact, there's even a connection between the attacks on Israel on October 7th and these 5 red heifers. Come and hear him speak live in person, Friday night, October 3rd, Saturday, October 4th. Full details worldviewstore.com, and to get your tickets. worldviewstore.com.
I know.
worldviewstore.com. All right, welcome back. Glad you're with us. Yeah, I know, Logan. I've been a little busy today. Logan's like, I'm kind of behind on the news today when it comes to this shooting and what was on his clips. I know, absolutely true. I've had so many things I've been working on today that I saw it, I knew about it, I commented on it briefly on radio, but I didn't have time to stop and study all that today. I was working on something else with Patrick Wood and researching stuff for tonight's TV show, and I could either cover that or cover my topic tonight, and I chose to cover my topic tonight because everybody else is covering what happened tragically, and I can cover more of it tomorrow as more information comes out, which is generally how I like to do it. Wait a day for more to flesh out. So you're right. I'm learning a lot right now here on the air because I just didn't have time today because I was preparing for tonight's show with a lot of researching I'm going to bring you tonight on Brandon House Live, which you don't want to miss, about the new system they're putting into place to replace the American dollar and get rid of the Federal Reserve as we know it, and a whole new system coming in. It's going to blow your mind. And a lot of people are writing about it. And the Genius Act has helped set it up. And I think there's an economic civil war going on. And who's going to be in charge of this new system? The Federal Reserve from 1913, or the new tech bros, stable coins, cryptocurrency, etc. We'll get into it tonight. All right. So we'll see where this goes, but the solution isn't more gun control. But even Trey Gowdy out there says you have to choose between freedom and children. Wrong. All right. What else you got, Jim?
It's on your plate there. By the way, related to the Federal Reserve, just real quick, Peter Schiff, the famous libertarian-minded anti-Bitcoiner, which I disagree with, he came out and stood up for Lisa Cook and of the Federal Reserve and Donald Trump firing her. And he said Trump has no authority to fire FOMC member Lisa Cook since she has not even been charged with mortgage fraud, let alone convicted. She remains innocent and proven guilty. And I just want to read something that I said in response. I reposted his and I also replied to it. And I said this: in a past life, this is someone who used to oppose the Federal Reserve. The criteria for firing someone for cause does apply in this case. Such a move must meet the following criteria. 1, it must be a willful act. 2, it must have a material impact upon the organization. 3, it must be serious in nature. The documentation standards are as follows. 1, it must specifically identify the conduct. 2, it must detail the specific allegations. And 3, where appropriate, it must identify how it relates to previous warnings. And by the way, it does relate to previous warnings in that we now know that she isn't even qualified to be a Federal Reserve Board chairman. But let me just make this point. It is demonstrated that Cook willfully lied on official documents about the nature of her real estate holdings. Those misrepresentations provided Cook with specific financial benefit, which she was not entitled to receive. Whether or not she is convicted of a crime, the evidence shows she sought those benefits in a corrupt manner. She has a position of public trust, so this is a serious issue. And it's not necessary with the evidence for a criminal conviction to occur. Such moral turpitude has a material impact upon the reputation and even the operations of the Federal Reserve, which, by the way, has so much to do with mortgage rates and the very instruments that she was purchasing on her properties. Donald Trump has specifically outlined this in his letter with evidence. He may fire her. There's an argument out there right now. Well, you know, the Federal Reserve is independent. It's not under the executive branch. Well, if that's the case, then it's an unconstitutional illegal institution that needs to be gotten rid of. If it is the case that it's under executive branch, Donald Trump has the authority. He does have the authority to do this. The Federal Reserve Act gives him that. But it just keeps outlining the corruption of this institution. It is typically filled with people on the Board of Governors. Actually, there have been some really good Board of Governors through the years, but it is typically filled with people on the Board of Governors who enrich themselves, who enrich the federal government by printing money to support its debt. It does not do anything to protect our currency. The currency is 93% worth 93% less than it was in 1913. You can imagine maybe some degree of inflation for this or that thing from time to time under normal circumstances. But what you really find out is you need a Federal Reserve to juice up the money so much that it's worth nothing by the time we get 100 plus years later. This is a corrupt institution that needs to go. We need to go back to the gold standard. There are plenty of solid arguments about how we can and should do that, and it would restrain us from war, and it would restrain the federal government. That's what we need. We don't need some institution that makes the federal government puts it on steroids in terms of its spending and its wrongdoing against its citizens.
Yeah, very well said. Very well said. Let's go to this article from The Hill. Gerrymandering is controversial, but the alternative is worse. Tell me about that, please, Jim.
Well, so let's just take a look at this. What is the risk of gerrymandering? Generally, that risk is because of the political process that you have a certain party in control in the state, and they draw the maps to favor their party from here on out. Okay, fine. Yeah, that is definitely a risk of a partisan process through a legislative process to draw maps. There's another problem, and this article relates to that with a different idea. If the federal government were to come in through the courts or otherwise to determine how states can draw their lines, then now you've got an even worse process. Because what happens, and this is why I totally disagree with these independent committees, and we need to take the risk of real gerrymanders happening. Because if you have independent commissions, or even worse, if you have the federal government determining how these lines should be drawn, now the representational nature of our Republican form of government gets taken away. Because if even Congress itself or the or some judge or even the executive branch comes in and overturns these maps, then there's no check against the federal government. That's what this is arguing for. There are moves and pushes to decide to get rid of all this process and put it and have the federal government determine. This is about us, our representatives, going to control the federal government. That's what a Republican form of government does. Your representatives go in and determine how that federal government's going to be run based upon the elective process where you choose the people that you want to do this. Now, for all the errors and all the problems that go with that process, you still want it to stay in the states. If there is any federal input on this gerrymandering issue, we're toast. Now it's going to be, and these commissions or whatever other things are always Democrat-minded people. I mean, the party Democrat-minded people who rig the system. Our voting systems get rigged enough as it is anyway because of Democrat efforts. We need to fight against that with everything in us. And I maintain that the very fact we're having this debate right now puts it in the public eye what the risks of political gerrymandering are. And the answer to that is for voters to understand that, and then to elect the people, if they don't like it, to stop it. But it also exposes people like J.B. Pritzker, like the commission in California, which has been stacked with Democrats, and like other governors who do these gerrymanders. Democrats are always the worst gerrymanderers, by the way. And it exposes them for what they have done. We know Illinois now is the most gerrymandered state in the nation, and it's not Republicans who are the problem. Republicans are responding to the problem, and they of right ought to be able to, because that's what our political process allows for. You cannot stop that and should not stop that process. It is absolutely fundamentally necessary to protect our republic. This is a healthy thing, the debate that's taking place right now, and we need it to continue as is, because us American citizens will make our choices thereafter.
Yeah, indeed. All right, look at this by George Papadopoulos. He writes here, America does not have a gun problem. America has a mental health problem. Oh, he's right about that. Clearly. Did we ever figure out how many transgenders have been involved in mass shootings, Logan? We don't have a number. What are the stats? He had them up there earlier. Okay. Well, there you go. It's been quite a few. I mean, it's not just Nashville and Minneapolis. It's been way more than that. Way more than that. So, anyway, well, pray for the folks in Minneapolis. That's for sure.
It's not like their politicians are going to help them.
No, their politicians are not going to help them. Ratio of attacks by these groups to their shares of the population. The trans versus non-trans. Pretty big. That's assuming 0.73% of adults are trans. Wow.
In actual numbers, it's not a majority, but there have been a lot of them. 4 that quickly come to mind, now 5 with the Minneapolis, is Aberdeen, Maryland in 2018, Denver, Colorado in 2019, of course, the Nashville shooting. Also in 2022, Colorado Springs, there was a transgender that did a shooting, and then today. According to their relative populations, that is a lot of transgenders. Mm-hmm. It is a mental health disorder that is particularly problematic when identifying people who would do this sort of thing.
Indeed it is. All right, that's our broadcast for tonight. TheConservativeCaucus.org is his website, TheConservativeCaucus.org. Pray for the folks in Minneapolis. I saw some of that footage today, and I saw those parents leaving with those kids, many of the parents holding their kids' hands, and I said to my wife, can you imagine those parents' hearts racing to that school, for fear that was one of their kids shot or killed? And so, yeah. And then, of course, the parents who got there and find out it was their child that was killed or has been shot and is now fighting for their life, and many of them in surgery. A horrific day, not only for the students, but for the parents and the grandparents and the teachers, everybody involved. I even saw a state trooper involved in a very extended hug with a civilian. So it even hits the
and by the way, with the death of Dr. Dobson recently, I might pitch in here, his call for the strengthening of the American family is one of the answers to problems like this. Yeah. We need to change the way we look at the American family.
Indeed. Take care, guys.
You're watching Worldview 2, built on the 35 years of Worldview books, documentaries, research, high-profile interviews, and the radio and television broadcasts of Brand.
Tonight on the Worldview Report, another mass shooting targets school children at a church, and the perpetrator leaves online footprints describing his dark motive. President Trump calls for leftist billionaire George Soros and his son Alex to be charged criminally under federal racketeering laws. Health and Human Services Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr. announces that the Food and Drug Administration has rescinded emergency use authorizations for COVID-19 vaccines. Well, what does that mean? We'll break it down. Palantir, their co-founder, Peter Thiel, forms a new secret society in Washington, catering to technocratic elites from both the left and the right. And First Lady Melania Trump has been given a new assignment to promote AI as a tool that all school children should learn to use and appreciate. All these stories and more as the Worldview Report begins right now.
This is Worldview Report with host Brandon House. Whether it is news from the nation's capital or your state capital, from the classroom to the boardroom, from national security to national and local news that impacts you and your family, Worldview Report is your trusted source for vital and uncensored news. And now, here is Brandon House.
Good evening and welcome to the Worldview Report. I'm Brandon House. We start off tonight with the tragedy in Minneapolis, another church shooting. The killer of 2 children who wounded 17 people has been identified as Robin Westman of Minneapolis. Early reports on Westman, the man who attacked children at the Annunciation Catholic Church and school in Minneapolis, well, the picture is grim. He was a disturbed man in his early 20s who self-identified as transgender and had a fierce hatred of Christians. He left behind a manifesto and posted images of weapons painted with, quote, "Kill Donald Trump," end quote, written on them, among other hate-filled slogans directed at conservative Christians. The attack happened during a morning mass attended by Catholic school children. 2 children, ages 8 and 10, were killed, and 17 others were injured, 14 of them children. The shooter died at the scene from an apparent self-inflicted gunshot wound, but not before he left a grim online trail of all the evil he was into. One of the rifle magazines, on it he displayed in his video, contained the message, quote, "Where is your blank God?" end quote. Another was painted with the Arabic word mashallah, which translates to Allah wills it. On the other side was written psycho killer. Another of the magazines had the message 6 million wasn't enough. That was written on it, the magazine. Of course, it gives an indication that Westman may have also been a neo-Nazi, or at least obviously anti-Semitic. The view was reportedly posted just 2 hours before he carried out the deadly church attack. Watch this. This is not the first time we've seen a far-left, transgender, crazy person who hated Donald Trump and conservative Christians carry out an attack on a school. And you can bet this story will be quickly tossed into the memory hole by the corporate media. They do not want you to know too much about this and his worldview, his values, because it does not fit their narrative. But one thing they will do is use the story to push for more gun control. Here is Minneapolis Mayor Jacob Frey reacting to the tragic loss of life on Wednesday. He seems to genuinely care, but then he makes a snide remark about people praying for the families. It seems completely out of place. Watch this.
Have a deceased child. You cannot put into words the gravity, the tragedy, or the absolute pain of this situation. We are a Minneapolis family. But to everybody out there, do not think of these as just somebody else's kids. Those families are suffering immense pain right now. Think of this as if it were your own. Every one of us needs to be wrapping our arms around these families, giving them every ounce that we can muster. These were Minneapolis families. These were American families. And the amount of pain that they are suffering right now is extraordinary. And don't just say this is about thoughts and prayers right now. These kids were literally praying. It was the first week of school. They were in a church. These are kids that should be learning with their friends. They should be playing on the playground. They should be able to go to school or church in peace without the fear or risk of violence, and their parents should have the same kind of assurance.
A CNN reporter is either terribly misinformed or he outright lied about the type of rifle used in Wednesday's church shooting there in Minneapolis. While covering the shooting, CNN senior justice correspondent Evan Perez falsely claimed that semi-automatic firearms can fire, quote, dozens of bullets, end quote, with a single pull of the trigger. Perez made the comments on the Situation Room before there was any official information about the type of firearm used. His response was set up by co-host Pamela Brown, who said, quote, "It was really disturbing to hear what the man we heard from the affiliate said about how long it went on. It seemed like a rifle," he said, "a semi-automatic rifle, and it went on for several minutes," end quote. Here's the exchange, including Perez's ignorant response. Watch this.
It seemed like a rifle, he said, a semi-automatic rifle, and it went on for several minutes.
Right, and look, that's not uncommon as well. These things can shoot dozens of bullets, in just one trigger pull, right? And so what happens in this case is sometimes they have enough time to reload. It's one of the most horrific things for students to be sitting.
President Trump on Wednesday called for far-left billionaire George Soros and his son, Alex Soros, to be charged under federal racketeering laws for funding and supporting violent far-left riots. Soros and his Open Society foundations, well, they have reportedly funneled money to and bankrolled many dark money projects and radical left movements, all in a goal apparently of destabilizing the country and going after conservative governments and place radical leftist globalists in power. He's also the puppet master behind the lawfare against Trump, election interference, and chaos across the country, according to many reports. In fact, the Gateway Pundit noted that the Jewish billionaire has funded countless instances of violent riots, including anti-Israel movements, Black Lives Matter, and other leftist projects. The Soros-funded Texas Majority PAC, also known as TMP, is also under investigation for illegally funding Democrats in Texas who fled the state earlier this month. They did so to stop midterm redistricting. That's according to the Gateway Pundit. President Trump called for Soros and his son Alex, who has also been a prominent figure in the Democrat Party, to, quote, be charged with RICO because of their support of violent protest and much more all throughout the United States of America. We're not going to allow these lunatics to rip apart America anymore, never giving it so much as a chance to breathe and be free. Be careful, we're watching you, end quote. Congresswoman Anna Paulina Luna, Republican of Florida, demanded earlier this year that Congress subpoena the powerful billionaire amid an investigation into the politicalization of the Federal Communications Commission, as well as election interference. Health and Human Services Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr. announced on Wednesday that the Food and Drug Administration has rescinded emergency use authorizations for COVID-19 vaccines. Kennedy posted on X, quote, I promised 4 things. 1, to end COVID vaccine mandates. 2, to keep vaccines available to people who want them, especially the vulnerable. 3, to demand placebo-controlled trials from companies. 4, to end the emergency, end quote. And then he added, quote, in a series of FDA actions today, we accomplished all 4 goals. The emergency use authorizations for COVID vaccines, once used to justify broad mandates on the general public during the Biden administration, are now rescinded, end quote. But that's not the end of the COVID shots. Kennedy said the FDA has now issued, quote, marketing authorization for those at higher risk, end quote. This includes Moderna for ages 6 months and up, Pfizer for 5 months and up, and Novavax for 12 and up. Kennedy said, quote, these vaccines are available for all patients who choose them after consulting with their doctors. The American people demand science, safety, and common sense. This framework delivers all 3, end quote. Kennedy thanked FDA Director Marty Makary for his leadership. The Daily Caller reports that Ukraine admitted on Wednesday that a Russian advance has penetrated a crucial region of the nation for the first time, as President Donald Trump continues to attempt brokering peace. Russia has made a major offensive into the Dnipro region of Ukraine, despite Ukraine repeatedly denying that Moscow had established any sort of control over the region. That's what an official with the Operational Strategic Troops told the BBC. Russia had continued to push into Ukraine despite ongoing peace negotiations with Ukraine and the U.S. The Dnipro region, it was previously a key industrial hub for Ukraine before the war. It is also Ukrainian President Zelensky's home. Moscow has not claimed Dnipro during their proposals for peace, only demanding the Russian-speaking Donbass region in Ukraine's far east, all in exchange for peace. President Trump said on Monday that he was very angry with Putin as Russia continues their offensive while attending meetings with the president to broker peace. Russian President Putin has set his conditions for peace for months. They include three things: permanent neutrality of Ukraine, meaning no Western troops on Ukrainian soil, a formal ceding of the Donbass and the Crimean Peninsula to Russia, and a guarantee that Ukraine will never join NATO. Until these three conditions are met, Russia sees no reason to stop its military campaign. Zero Hedge reports that a secretive elitist group called Dialogue, co-founded by billionaire Peter Thiel, is planning a permanent Washington headquarters as the PayPal co-founder's investment portfolio gains deeper federal government ties through companies like Palantir. The invitation-only network is scouting real estate to build a campus in the D.C. suburbs, according to reports. Reportedly, they are making a strategic expansion into the nation's political center. The Dialogue organization, as it's known, has been compared to a Bilderberg group or technocrats. It has quietly become one of the most elite and yet mysterious gatherings for CEOs, elected officials, and intellectual heavyweights. That's what Axios reports. The move comes as Thiel's influence in government circles has grown exponentially, driven by lucrative federal contracts secured by Palantir. That's the data analytics firm that he co-founded, which has become a key supplier to U.S. intelligence and defense agencies. A source with ties to Dialogue told Axios that the permanent facility reflects, quote, rising demand for quieter reflection in an always-on world. Dialogue bills itself as offering global elites the chance to talk candidly across ideological lines, away from their phones and the pressures of social media, the news media, and their stakeholders, end quote. The forum's secretive nature appears to be a selling point. The source told Axios, quote, given declining trust in institutions and anti-establishment fervor, the group actively keeps its inner workings secretive and hidden from public scrutiny, end quote. The network's secretive nature also allows participants to share controversial and concerning ideas that they would not be comfortable sharing elsewhere. That's what the source told Axios. Dialogue, as it's called, has hosted events in the U.S. and Italy and is planning satellite gatherings in the Middle East and other locations, signaling global ambitions beyond its Washington expansion. The forum attracts a bipartisan roster of power players, including Tesla CEO Elon Musk, Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent, former Treasury Secretary Larry Summers, KKR and company co-founder Henry Kravis, and Maryland Governor Wes Moore. Other participants include Senator Cory Booker, former White House senior advisor Jared Kushner, Director of National Intelligence Tulsi Gabbard, and Senator Ted Cruz. As the late great comedian George Carlin once said, it's a big club, and you ain't in it, and neither am I. And I'm glad not to be a part of it, to be frank. We'll be right back after this break. The businessman from Texas that spent years trying to bring the perfect red heifers to Israel is coming to speak in Collierville, Tennessee, outside of Memphis, on Friday night, October 3rd, Saturday, October 4th. They now have sacrificed one of those red heifers. There it is burning. They've now gained 10 gallons of ashes. Why do they need this? Well, the Old Testament, Numbers chapter 19, says that for the purification ceremony, for their temporary tabernacle or full-time temple, they need the ashes of a perfect red heifer. This is the first time this has happened in over 2,000 years. The story is going global. It's highly controversial. In fact, there's even a connection between the attacks on Israel on October 7th and these 5 red heifers. Come and hear him speak live in person, Friday night, October 3rd, Saturday, October 4th. Full details, worldviewstore.com, and to get your tickets, worldviewstore.com, worldviewstore.com. Welcome back from the break. Our national conference comes up Friday night, October 3rd, Saturday, October 4th, and we have added Byron Stinson, the man that brought the 5 red heifers to Israel. It is a controversial story, no doubt about it, but isn't it interesting? And it is making global news. And he'll be in the building to speak, and then we're going to be asking him lots of questions. So regardless of how you feel about this, it's something we need to talk about, address, and ask a lot of questions about, right? And I think it may fit in with Bible prophecy. The building of the third temple. They need a perfect red heifer. And Byron says they have it. And they burned it in July and now have 10 gallons of ashes that can be used in a purification ceremony per Numbers chapter 19 in the Old Testament. Now, some Jews in Israel are saying no. Others in Israel are saying, yep, it was a perfect red heifer. People are going to disagree. Byron predicted that in a post on social media when he put out that indeed they had these 10 gallons of ashes. So this is our opportunity to hear from him. Consider the evidence, the information, which some say could actually spark a world war. There are reportedly ties between those red heifers and Hamas on October 7th attacking Israel. So it's going to be an interesting conversation with Byron and great information to take in. But it's not just Byron. We also have Gordon Chang. We have Alex Newman, Dr. Andy Woods, Hadia Maramonde. We have Chris Martinson. We have, what's his name? Mark Mitchell of the leading polling company. He's the lead pollster at Rasmussen. And Sidney Powell, Dr. Lana. What a lineup. Wow. All in the building. Friday night, October 3rd, Saturday, October 4th, with the optional concert, banquet, and keynote address on Thursday night. So again, it's all at worldviewstore.com, worldviewstore.com. Now, if you have a membership, apparently we're letting you have a membership, whether it's monthly or yearly, we're letting you live stream it. We were going to do where you just had to have a year membership, but now we're going to let you do it with a monthly one as well to make it more affordable for some folks. So if you have a monthly membership to the vault or a year membership or a 6-month membership, you'll be able to live stream Friday night and Saturday. But it's much better to be here in person. But there is that option of live streaming, and you can live stream with your membership with more details at worldviewtube.com/vault, worldviewtube.com/vault. But get your tickets to the Thursday night and or Friday and Saturday. It's worldviewstore.com if you're interested. And we hope you are. First Lady Melania Trump has been given a new assignment to promote AI as a tool that all school children should learn to use and appreciate. She will lead the newly created Presidential Artificial Intelligence Challenge for K through 12 students and educators. The effort will educate children about AI and how it can be used for innovation. First Lady told the New York Post, quote, "Creating my AI audiobook opened my eyes to the countless opportunities and risks this new technology brings to American society. In just a few short years, AI will be the engine driving every business sector across our economy. It is poised to deliver great value to our careers, families, and communities," end quote. And then she added, quote, "Just as America once led the world into the skies with the Wright brothers, we are poised to lead again, this time in the age of AI," end quote. Slay News noted that, like the Presidential Fitness Challenge, this effort will involve groups of students using AI tools to create a phone app or website that solves a community problem. Large language models, robotics, computer vision, decision trees, and neural networks. Well, those are some of the tools that will be used. There are components of transhumanism and we will likely see AI drive the nation further in that direction. So there's good sides and there's bad sides. But when it comes to these teams, they'll present their work at the White House. And the teams, they could win a certificate of achievement and cloud credits, or even a $10,000 check. State champions, they'll be chosen in March, and national champions will be chosen in June. First Lady stated, quote, "The Presidential AI Challenge marks our first step in equipping every child with the knowledge base and tools to utilize this emerging technology," end quote. Well, now it is time for our nightly Worldview Report commentary. Amy Meck filed a report for Rare Foundation about the latest shenanigans going on in Dearborn, Michigan, which has become a cesspool of Islamic extremism under its new Muslim mayor. According to Meck, he has appointed a Muslim police chief, and there is a two-tier standard of justice developing in the city. Quote, "Protection for Muslims, punishment for everyone else," end quote. Watch this.
In Dearborn, Michigan, now a Muslim-majority city, free speech is dead, and Sharia justice has taken a hold. Anthony Young, a 27-year-old non-Muslim, makes a reckless Facebook post, and Dearborn police rush in, arrest him, and treat him like a terrorist. Meanwhile, year after year in Dearborn, Muslims openly march chanting "Death to America," praising Hezbollah, while police look the other way. This didn't happen by accident. In 2021, Abdullah Hammoud became the first Arab American and Muslim ever elected mayor of Dearborn. In 2022, Hammoud appointed fellow Muslim Issa Shaheen as police chief, a man who studied Middle Eastern politics in Cairo. Together, they've turned Dearborn into a city